Hi there and welcome to 3D for IDT. We're going to be doing some work in Blender today. So when we start up we get this little modal window. The first thing I want to point out is you can pull up the manual here, and this just has some of your recent files in it, so it's kind of handy. I'm going to just click on it, make it go away, and we're presented with a bewildering array of options, panels, and information. So let's go through those real quickly. This middle area here is called the 3D view or the scene view, and it's where all the fun stuff happens. It's what we get to work in. It's our workspace. And this is a toolbox over here on the left, and you can see we've got some translate and rotate tools and some various options. We can create a variety of things here just by clicking on a button, and we can group them. We can do some keyframing here. We can set things up for physics, and there's a grease pencil if you want to do some drawing on the screen and make notes. You got your standard file windows up here and a render. We can change our view, selection. We can add some objects just like that one toolbox, and there's some tools here, some different modes. This is our timeline if we're doing animation, and we don't really need to worry about that much, so we can actually come down here and drag it down a little bit so it's out of our way. And then there's two over here on the right. This is the split right here. You can kind of see as they highlight from one to the other. This is our properties panel, and as we click on different things, it brings up different modes. We need this object mode, our world mode. This is an object property, and material and texture. We're going to spend a lot of time in our texture tab. And then we have a hierarchy here that lets us select different things in the scene. So we have a cube, the camera, and if you change selection by right clicking, it's important to make note of. If you left click, you'll move that little cursor. You right click to select things, and we can right click on this light up here. So let's just start with this cube. I thought it would be nice to make something while we're learning how to do things. So it occurred to me that something common you might need to make is a simple city or downtown area with some skyscrapers or what have you. So we have this cube, and you see these handles, this blue, green, and red handle, and they have arrows. And if you grab this by clicking it, you just left click, you can move it along that axis. So we can bring this up here and move it over, move it back. Gives us that nice guide there. Lets us see what we're doing. And now if we want to change what we're looking at, how it looks, we might want to make it bigger. So we come down here and we've got move, rotate, and scale. And if we click scale, you can see that the arrows turned into little boxes, so we can see what we're doing. Skyscrapers are tall, so let's make this guy a little taller and wider and thicker, like so. And we're just going to bring him back up by turning back to our translate or our move tool and put him where we want. I want this guy to sit right about here. That looks like a good place for him. Now a simple gray box might look like a skyscraper to some, but to me, I think you need to put a picture on it. So if you come over here to your textures tab, it's this little checkbox, you can see there's already one on here. You can change the type to image or movie. And when you do that, it changes these options down here. You hit open, and this brings up the Blender file picker. And it's like most file managers, it's just a little different. I go users, user, desktop, blend vids. And I'm going to grab this second texture here and double click on it. And I'm going to come down here and change this from flat. Well, I'll show you why. If you hit F12, that doesn't look right. That's not our picture that we looked at up here. And that's because you need to change the projection. I'm going to make it tube. And if I hit F12 again, it's changed the way it's projected, the way it's shined onto the surface. I don't think that really looks exactly like the skyscraper I want. I think those windows are a little big. So if I come down here to image mapping, I can change my repeat a few times, and that's a little closer. I think that's a little too much. Let's try 2 and 2. That's looking pretty good right there. That is really close to what I want. I don't think it's quite perfect though. Maybe we make it 3. Well, that's still not doing it. That's 2's alright, it's still not quite right. What if we change our offset a little bit? Maybe that's part of what it's doing. and we can move it a little bit. You can see here how it's kind of scrolling around by changing this offset. I can kind of get an idea where I want it to be. And that's part of 3D. That's almost perfect right there. That really looks like a skyscraper right there. So I'm going to come back out of here. That's how I want it. Part of 3D is trying different things and making changes and trying them again. So, like I said, we can come over here now. If I hit A, is select all or select nothing. It's all or nothing. So you hit A. If you have something selected, it will drop it. If you don't have anything selected, it'll select everything. All or nothing. And I hit create cube. And I can bring up another cube here. And I want to bring this up here so it looks right, coming in like this. I want to make this guy a little bigger. I want to make a apartment complex or something. That's what I want to do. I want to bring this in. And I want to get it lined up here as close as I can. Like so. Just like that. Okay, so there's no material on here. This has got no material because we made it new. So if we hit new, we create a material. We hit new over on our texture tab. And we bring this up. Now I've got a recent panel over here, so I can just double click on blend vids and it brings me right in here to this one. And I'm going to double click on house. Now if you hit F12, well, that looks like something out of an Escher painting. That's real weird. And the reason why is we need to change what our coordinates are to generate it. It's set on UV, and we're not using UV mapping in this. UV mapping is a subject for another day, but it's a nice way of getting things to look right on a complex 3D model and map a texture to a 3D model. So I want to change this repetition on here. I want to make it 3. Not quite. How about 4? And that looks like a nice apartment complex building that is next to this skyscraper. So we hit escape. Again, I'm just kind of moving these numbers around, seeing how they work, looking at what looks good. I want to make one more. So I had A for all or nothing to deselect. Now I could go over here and I could use these buttons, but that's not always convenient and sometimes tools are hidden. So there's this great thing in Blender you can do. If you don't have anything tool selected, you hit A, space bar, and you bring up this little thing. Just you hit the space bar and it brings this up, and you can type in the name of the command you want to do. So I have add cube there, and I hit enter, and there it is. So I can bring this up and I can position it where I want it and bring it over. I want to make this one a little taller again. Make it a little thicker each way. It's a nice building here. Just gonna line this up. And I'm not sure if this is quite lined up. I'm starting to get some perspective errors. I'm not sure if this is perfect. So I'm going to use my number pad, and if I hit 6, I can kind of turn it around and look at it, and if I hit 2, I look low, and you can see right there that that middle building is up a little high. So we right click to select it, and we drag it down just a little bit here. And the thing to 3D is you always want to be looking at everything from different angles. You always want to look at it from different sides and make sure it lines up, because perspective can be confusing. 8 moves you up, 2 moves you down, 4 moves you this way, 6 moves you this way, minus zooms out, and plus zooms in. So this is all right here. All right, now we're going to select this one back over here so we can put a picture on it. Material, new, texture. We're scrolled down, so we go ahead and bring this back up. Click new. We're going to open. I'm going to double click blend vids over here. I'm going to take industrial this time. We're going to make an industrial building. So I'm going to take this here. I'm actually going to make that a little shorter. I don't think it needs to be as tall. Okay. Bring it back down here. I want it to be a little taller than the one next to it, I think. Like a nice warehouse or something. Something you might find downtown. Okay, so again, we're going to come over here, change from UV to generated, change it to tube, and hit F12 so we can see what it looks like. I do not like the way that looks. I want to double it. Maybe, there we go, 4 times that way and 1 the other. Now we're starting to get somewhere. That looks like a nice warehouse type building. Okay, so, you know, not all buildings are square. Some of them are round, so let's just hit A, all or nothing. Spacebar. Now we got add cube, but if I delete, and I can use the arrow keys or click or type it in, add a cylinder. And we're going to scale this up to do it uniformly. Now I can either click this button over here and do it, but maybe I'm having trouble getting that to do what I want. So I hit escape. If I haven't selected the tool, if I haven't finished it, I can hit escape. And I can grab this ring to move it freely. And if I go scale, and I grab this ring, that white ring, it does all of them at once. So we can make a nice big building here, and then we can make it taller, and then we can move it where we want it to be. And you'll notice I'm kind of looking down here. There's this grid line. That kind of tells me where things are positioned and how to move them where I want them to be, so that it's setting on the ground or near the ground. Again, I can come down here like this. It's kind of sticking below the ground. I can bring it up a little and look at things from many different angles to make sure they're doing what I want them to do. So this needs a texture. It's going to be blank right now. If I do it without one, we get a blank texture. I don't like that, so we're going to come over here and we're going to put a new material and a new texture. I'm going to open this up, go back to blend vids. Let's go with some high-rise glass on this. Okay, and then we come down here and we check our UV to generated and from flat to tube. Now I want to repeat that 3 times each way and see what it looks like. That is looking almost, I think I really only want that twice. Maybe 4 and 2. That is looking like what we want. Now we can't really see our buildings very well. So we hit escape to come back out of our render mode and we select our camera. Now I can go to rotate here. You can see we have this ball made out of these. But I'm on the global world axes that line up with these lines, and I don't want to do that. I want to move based on the camera itself because it's really confusing. If I come over here and I try to rotate, see my up goes this way and I'm all off at a weird angle. So I hit escape. I don't want to do that. I'm going to hit Control Z to undo, just like most programs. And I'm going to change my coordinates from global to local, and now you can see they're lined up. And if I move on this red axis, kind of comes like this. I can go based on its personal coordinates, and that's a little bit more what I'm looking for. If I come back here to move, I can back it up a little and hit F12, and we're getting awful close to the image we want. Just about so, maybe a little bit more this way. There we go. There we go. We can see this side of the building here. So those are the basics of moving around and grabbing things. I want to make this scene look better. I want to make it look nicer. So I hit A for all or nothing, space bar, add cube. Alright, now I'm going to make this real small, then this way, make it real big this way, and real big this way. Now if I hit F12, we've got some ground. Still not quite as big as I want. Make it even bigger. Alright, now we hit F12. Now we got some ground and a horizon. Okay. Maybe even a little bigger this way. Alright, so now we've got a ground, but it doesn't have any texture. So we go Material, New. We're going to come up here and go New Texture. And Blender has a lot of tools for making textures on its own. So if we come in here to Clouds, we can come down here. I'm going to change the color to a nice medium dark gray. I'm going to change this to Generated, Cube. I'm going to change my size on this much smaller. And now I'm going to hit F12. And you can see we have a nice grainy concrete or asphalt looking texture. And this is looking pretty good. So we come back out of here. And I want to change a little bit. A gray sky is kind of boring, so we hit Paper and Blended Sky. We're going to take this and bring it over here to a nice deep blue, much like the sunset. Pardon me. And we're going to give us a nice bright blue for during the day here. We got a nice blue color sky there. And we hit F12, and that looks a lot brighter, a lot more cheery. Got a nice blended sky. You can hit real and make it a little different. That's a nice look right there. So there's a lot of different things you can do. The last thing I want to do, well, maybe not the last, but something I want to do is change this light. I don't like the way that light looks. It is a point light, and I click on this little tab. This is the individual object properties. I want to make it a sunlight, and I want to make it go this way instead. I want it to shine like that. So when I hit F12, I can see both sides of this building, and I've got a nice shadow coming across the other. That's looking good. So again, A for all or nothing. Now I want to duplicate some stuff and thicken up my city, so I hold down Shift and I right click on several buildings here, those three. Go to move. And if I hit Shift D, I duplicate them. And if I hit Y, I lock that to an axis and I can move them over, like so. And I can move them around as I need be. So if I hit Shift D again, I can hit X and I can move them back over here like this. And that's starting to get repetitive, so we come over here to Object. I want to make sure this is on global. Object, Mirror, and we did that on the Y, and it flips them. Hit Enter to complete, and now we've got some stuff there, and we go Shift D one more time, Y, and we can bring this down right here, and we've got pretty nice looking scene. So if we hit F12 one more, now we've got some buildings in place here that we can see some stuff going on. And that is the basics of making and moving things around in Blender. What we learned today was creating objects, moving the camera around, grabbing an object and moving, rotating or scaling it. We learned how to make a material and how to put a texture on that, and the very basics of some of the generation and coordinate systems. So, and we also learned how to duplicate and a few other things. So that's the basics of Blender. That's where we're going to start at. If we want to save this picture, you can see this has changed. We hit Image and we save a copy, and I want to put this in Blend Vids, and I want to name it City Render 1. And I hit Enter, and I save my image. And now I have a picture I can use in a flyer, in a production, in anything I want to use it for. I now have this image I can put into my instructional materials. So there you go. I hope you had fun and enjoyed the lesson, and I look forward to working with you guys in the next one. We're going to get more into working with custom objects. Thank you.